My name is Michael Ann Bradley. I work for United Way's EveryDay Strong program. So we're looking at anxiety and depression among kids, and we're seeing more and more kids who are showing symptoms of it, more and more kids who are being diagnosed with it. So we teach parents and other caring adults how they can build safety, connection, and confidence in the kids that they care for, right? Whether it's their own child, teacher, neighbor's kids. And when you teach safety, connection, confidence, when you help kids feel those things, then you're getting closer to being able to help them overcome anxiety and depression. And EveryDay Strong, to me, it's transformative, right? Because it totally flips the script of how we think about kids. I think it's actually really interesting to think about how often we sort of go at kids with this assumption about their motivation, right? We see a kid who maybe we kind of know that they're anxious or depressed, but we think, well, if they would just try harder to cope with this, or if we could just teach them more ways to cope with this, right? They might just do better, right? We always sort of assign bad motivation to them. But I love this story of a kid named Nathan. So Nathan was one of those kids that, he wants to drop out of school and he's failing all of his classes, and all the adults around him are just saying this kid is he just needs to get his act together. He doesn't care. He clearly doesn't care. He has no motivation to achieve or get things done. They're accusing him of skipping school to go smoke weed or whatever. He had a therapist who decided to implement this framework of safety, connection, and confidence. And he sat down and he said, okay, Nathan, I just want you to feel really safe with me. He started with safety. It's the first one, right? Tell me what's actually going on. I really want to know. I really care about you as a person. You can tell me things. It doesn't matter. I'll still think you're great, even if what you have to tell me is maybe, different than what you think you're supposed to be doing. He really dug deep on helping this kid feel safe. And it came out with a little bit of trying that what was actually happening, he wasn't just skipping school to go smoke weed. He was actually going to school every day. He was getting in his car, driving, arriving in the parking lot, and he would just sit there with his hands clutched on the steering wheel for 6 hours. And then he would just drive around, go home every day. This is information that no adult knew, right? That for some reason that transition from car to school was so much that his anxiety just couldn't handle it. He felt like he dug himself in so deep with his failing grades, his skipped classes, right? That he was just coping with it by just avoiding the problem altogether. And once you have this information, then you can actually start working at some actual solutions, right? So again, this safety, this feeling of connection, this feeling of confidence, it helps you improve that relationship so that you can have a more effective way of being an influential person in that kid's life and getting at what's under the surface, not just your assumptions about people. When donors want to give to EveryDay Strong, I think it's an incredible way to contribute to something that a lot of people have had really personal experiences with. And so when you give to EveryDay Strong, you're really giving tools to people who often are at the end of their rope, right? They've tried 1,000 different things, or they just don't even know where to start on the other end of the spectrum, right? And so you're giving to these families who need something more than what's just sort of being given to them, in the culture in general. I go out in the community and I do these presentations to families, to teachers, to parents, and afterwards there's just a line of people coming up, and so many of them say, just thank you so much for giving us this training, for giving us this information, for giving us this new way of looking at the problem. And they feel that was me, that was my child, right? Some of them even wonder, right? Wait, did you have a secret camera in my household, right? Because they see how this is something that they're dealing with, and yet nobody's talking about it, right? Nobody's telling them that it's okay to talk about it. Here's a useful way to think about it. Some people even told me that they're crying in the presentation because it resonated so much with the problems that they're facing and the things that they're trying to solve for their family and their child. What's really cool about United Way is that the people that it serves are also the people who are doing the serving, right? It's a circular effect. This is the people who are our actual neighbors. These are our own children, right? And so when we come together, it creates this sort of sense of community and a sense of purpose, because the people who are in this community are the ones who are reaching out to each other.